on the roads, taking their little ones, their learners, their children to school. Now, the key issue here is what are some of the concerns, and particularly, I think one of the major concerns would be whether schools are ready or not.
At first, let me say that the majority of schools will be ready because our own survey had indicated, and that was by the 9th, that by then 75% were ready and the other 25% were not completely ready, but there were only some things outstanding. So our hope and belief is that this would have improved over the weekend. However, one can't claim, as has been done, that every single school will be ready. That's just a bridge too far. Given some of the backlogs that there are, particularly in our rural provinces, and given our history of delivery, we haven't been able to deliver basic things, and to imagine that 25% of schools would have received deliveries over the weekend is it's a little much for the imagination.
Yes. Now, are there any particular areas that are of concern to you, Basil?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, the geographical areas being the Eastern Cape, KZN, the Northwest, and Mpumalanga are areas where we are worried about. But in terms of what we are worried about, it is, of course, the physical supply of PPEs, where schools are still reporting the lack of masks and the lack of sanitizers, where there's concern about the appointment of teachers. Whilst they have their PPNs, that's their post-provisioning to say how many teachers they are entitled to, schools still reported by the beginning of the weekend that they haven't seen the appointments done yet. And that's particularly worrying, given that we've lost a large number of teachers. Approximately 1,200 is the figure that was given last night to COVID. And then, of course, remember that there have also been other deaths, resignations, retirement. So there's a large pool of people that must be replaced. And we're worried about that, and it impacts particularly in our rural and poor schools. Then, of course, we've got to worry about our teachers and the mental health of our teachers and education workers. Today, we'll see the return of our children. And the children will encounter the first and only support structure they know. They will see the teacher as their only counselor. And this is the weight that the teachers carry. The burden of the entire community comes to school. The children are going to tell of their stories, their pain, their heartache, their hardships, whether it's about starving at home because people have lost jobs, or whether it's about death, and the teachers have to deal with that. So today is a difficult day, and we are worried about the mental health of our teachers, but also the lack of psychosocial support for our children. Now, the one thing that we know will work is that we have a feeding scheme at most schools, and our children, particularly the poorest of the poor, will get a decent meal, and those are positives. But also, many schools have reported they have received their LTSMs. Now, these are only some schools that are entitled to receive. That's learner-teacher support material, and that is a positive. So a mixed bag, positives and negatives, but the areas of concern are still there. Remember that we don't want to be proved correct about our concerns. We want to be proved incorrect for worrying unnecessarily. Then we will celebrate, because after all said and done, we want the presentation that the minister made to be perfectly correct, because that will then satisfy us that our members and the broader teacher cohort and learners are safe and their health is being taken care of.
Yes. Now, also, Basil, with schools opening at least a month later than a normal, and looking at the curriculum, looking at catching up as far as the curriculum is concerned, because this clearly has been a late start, and just looking at it from a teaching and learning perspective, what sort of impact is there likely to be?
At first, let me just correct something. Although there's a late start, there are still 200 school days that have been eked out of the rest of the year. Because we've seen a reduction of the school holidays, and the people that are really not having a full year, having a much, much longer year, are the teachers. Pardon me. The learners will still have their 200 days. But because of the alternate day attendance schedule that we have, in reality, our children will only be at school for 50% of those 200 days. So backlogs will automatically start growing again. And now I want you to just focus attention very briefly on our matriculants. They did grade 11 last year, and they may not have covered all the work because there were disruptions, etc. So they start with a deficit already. So your matric teacher and your matric learners have a huge mountain to climb. Now, when you consider that your matric teachers will teach over weekends and holidays, and that these have been shortened as it adds to the pressure of that psychological impact of the pressure on teachers. But if you consider the grade 2s, whose grade 1 year was severely disrupted, we are not sure that all those children mastered reading and that consolidation can happen in grade 2. For the grade 1 starting off this year, it's another difficult year because we need every single minute to ensure that our children are ready to progress. If they are not, and we progress them, these children will suffer throughout their schooling career because reading is the basis of schooling.
Yes. And just finally, Basil, we know that this has got to be managed on a day-to-day basis. And the buck at the end of the day would stop with the school principal. Just how much pressure is there on school principals at this point in time?
An enormous amount of pressure. Our school principals are the key cog which keeps the wheels turning. And that is why we constantly say to our department that we need to look after principals better. Remember, they are not only dealing with the physical running of the school, ensuring that everything is in place and that people are safe and healthy, the curriculum is being taught, but they are dealing with people first. Children, the concerns of children, the concerns of teachers. And if they are not themselves being looked after, how can we possibly expect them to look after the other people that are there? So our principals are a key component in the success of any school. If you have a bad principal, you have a bad school. The principals determine how good or how bad the school will eventually be. Whether teachers are inspired or deflated, whether learners are encouraged or they are trampled, that is the role of a principal. And that is why we need to build up our principals. We need to get them self-inspired, and we need to ensure that they feel that they are being thought of and considered whenever decisions are made.
Well, Basil, thank you very much for that and for your time with us this morning on Asala Media News and Views. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. You have a safe day. Bye.
Basil Manel, Executive Director of NAPTOSA, discussing school readiness as schools welcome learners back this morning.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, yet many children go to school hungry because of poverty. Penny Appeal's Breakfast Club aim to get a warm, hearty meal to underprivileged children so they can spend the day prospering in their schoolwork. Help feed a needy learner by visiting our website on www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573 to find out how you can donate. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers. the family name you can trust.
Med Medicine Depot, Retail Pharmacy and Emergency Medical Depot. Conveniently situated in the Med Medical Center, Corner Burger and Bosser Street, Pietermaritzburg. We provide safe, affordable and convenient medical facilities. Open till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We have a